friends. Welcome to another Stampin' Live. I don't know, live Thursday Night Live. What do I normally call this? Tonight we are going to make some DIY cards for fall with the Autumn Leaves stamp set and the beautiful All About Autumn pattern paper. You are going to love this suite of products. Before I get started, a special welcome to those who are watching me live. So glad you guys are here. Go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know that you're watching and let me know where you are watching from. Hello to Fonda. So glad to hear that you got 8 inches of rain from the hurricane, but didn't flood. Love to hear that. A special welcome as well to all of my replay watchers. I love to know that you guys watch the replay later. So leave me a comment. Let me know that you're watching the replay. If this is your first time here, I am Heidi with Onigo Stamping, and I provide wannabe card makers, wannabe artists, wannabe crafty people like you with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make your own beautiful handmade cards and gifts using rubber stamps and paper and ink. I'm going to go ahead and make my workspace a little bit bigger so we can take a look at this suite, and then we're going to make a card with it. So hello, Sheila and Kimberly in Michigan, and Karen in Florida, safe and sound, lots of rain and a bit of wind, and Lena and Debbie Ann. Oh, welcome to y'all. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so glad it sounds like everybody is safe from the hurricane. Good to know. So this is the All About Autumn suite. This is the All About Autumn stamp set, which has these beautiful leaves. This is what I really loved at first, was these very cool looking leaves that were kind of, you know, different than what we see. They're not really realistic, but they're not like really not realistic, I guess, at the same time. So I really like them. They also have coordinating dies, which is always fun. Lots of dies, and dies to cut out the veins to go on them. Some dies just to cut little dots, some label dies, all sorts of dies. So along in the suite, there is also the All About Autumn pattern paper. And this pattern paper is absolutely gorgeous. It has, I think, copper foiling on it. So, so pretty in all these different colors. It is mostly copper clay, pretty peacock, mossy meadow, and moody moth. And I think that is what I was on the struggle bus. If you watch my Instagram stories, you know, last night I said I was on the struggle bus using this suite, and I think it's the colors. Because they're really, really pretty colors, and I absolutely love them. But they are not my colors. They're not the colors I normally use. So I think I was just kind of struggling, getting inspired, and trying to figure out how to put them together. But gorgeous pattern paper. I love this side. And then on the other side, they have this photorealistic look. So you have like trees and leaves and fabric and books and more leaves and more trees and like a sweater blanket, I don't know, a chair, some more books, some pumpkins. I like this pumpkins. I need to use that on something. Some wood, and then the tops of trees. So lots of pretty stuff going on there with the All About Autumn designer series paper. In this suite, there is also some ribbon. Let me show you the ribbon, which I'm going to use some of this on the card I'm going to make, but not all of it. It has this beautiful copper. Is the sound okay? I feel like I'm getting some weird sound, maybe. I don't know. Beautiful copper, and then this natural ribbon as well. And there are some fun adhesive dots. So we got a lot going on in this suite. Oh, and there is, I almost forgot one of the best parts. There is this beautiful copper oxidized paper, and it has 2 different colors. You kind of have this copper clay with copper foil on it. And then there is one that is like pretty peacock in copper foil. Isn't that cool? Just really lots of texture on it. You can even feel the texture a little bit, and you can definitely see that different texture with that kind of dry brushed copper on there. So very, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and make a card. Enough chit chat about how cool the products are. Let's see what they look like, right? So I'm going to start with some Moody Mauve. You guys, let me know. Tell me what you think of Moody Mauve. How are you feeling about Moody Mauve? I'm trying to love it. I have a friend who absolutely loves it. I look at it and I'm like, oh, the 80s came back. I'm pretty sure this was like one of the accent colors in my childhood bedroom. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying, but I'm going to use it on this card, and I like the way the card came out. So, all right, I'm going to use that big maple leaf. I'm going to ink this up. Tap, tap, tap. I haven't used this ink pad very much, so it is nice and juicy. And I'm going to start stamping on a piece of crumb cake. This piece of crumb cake is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So about a 1/2 inch smaller than a standard card front. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp some big old maple leaves on there in Moody Mauve. And I think the crumb cake kind of takes away the mauviness. It makes it just look like a dark red. So it's pretty, but yes, the 80s, you had bridesmaid dress in that color. I bet. I think, yeah. Yeah. All right. So there we have some big maple leaves. Now, I don't know all my leaves, so we'll do what we can here. I have some copper clay. Both of these are 2 of the 2023-2025 ink colors. And I'm going to use, I think this is an oak leaf. I'm going to do an oak leaf next. And I'm going to stamp some of these on here. Again, just stamping wherever. I'm going to overlap some of them, not overlap some of them. We're just going to fill in this whole thing eventually. So there we have some copper clay leaves. And then finally, I'm going to come in and stamp these leaves. You can tell me, I don't know what kind of leaves these are. I feel like I should. They look like a very common leaf. I'm not good. You guys, I am not good with nature. I don't know the names of trees or leaves or, plants. But I'm going to stamp these in Pretty Peacock, which is totally not a leaf color, right? This is why I feel like these are like fall cards in alternate fall colors. These are not your normal fall colors. They're like a little bit off. All right. I think that's about good. Pretty soon I'm going to get too much and then I'll be mad at myself, but there we go. All right. So we just stamped a really nice background, a pretty background. And now we're going to do some more. Actually, I don't want to go anywhere with this. I want to use this next. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to use this on kind of the background for our card. So I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to grab a piece of Very Vanilla. Now on this piece of Very Vanilla, I'm going to stamp 2 more of these leaves that I don't know what they are. You guys can tell me. You like it. Lena likes it better than she thought she would. All right. Well, good to know. So I'm going to stamp these right on here. We're going to do a fun little technique with this. I don't want to put that away yet. I'm going to grab the copper. Actually, I am. I'm going to put that away because I'm going to stamp something else later in it, but I'll make a mess. I don't put it away. I'm going to grab the copper clay. Now, along with these leaves, there is a stem to go with them in the little veins. So I'm just going to put this on here, try to kind of line that up. And there is our fun little leaves. Now, with this, there are dies, but of course I jumped out of the suite and I grabbed my stylish shapes dies, and that's what I'm going to use on this card. Make sure I grab the right size. This is the second to the largest one. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start, we're going to kind of walk through this. I am going to start by figuring out how I want this kind of laid on here like this. And then I'm going to grab my pencil, if I can find it. And I'm going to trace around the outside. Now I am tracing, it's going to actually cut the inside, but I'm going to go ahead and just trace the outside because this is just kind of to give me an idea of where I want that circle to be. I'm not going to get too close to the leaves, but I'm going to come up so I can see where that circle is going to hit. All right, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to go for. Now you notice those leaves are hanging out outside the circle, and I do not want to cut them off with the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my paper snips. Not those ones. Those are my fabric snips. Look, they have a fabric. They have ribbon on them, so they are for fabric or ribbon. And I grab my regular paper snips, and I'm going to cut the ends of these leaves. Now, it is a little bit tricky because you have to cut up the left side. If I was left-handed, I would be able to see better. But normally when I cut to the right around things so I can see the border that I'm cutting. But here, I got to just kind of like wing it. So when my fussy cutting is not very good, it's because I'm cutting on the wrong side. But we're going to try my best. I need to be ambidextrous. I can't say that word. I shouldn't even try. So I'm going to cut a little bit farther than that circle I drew. All right. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Now I can see better where my leaf is. So I can cut up the side of it. And again, I'm cutting further than that circle. And we're going to come over here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the edge of this leaf. Cut up a little bit further. And again, cutting on the left side where I can't really see what I'm doing because my scissors get in the way. I need like clear scissors. Wouldn't that be cool? All right. So there we go. You can see I cut up further than that circle all the way around. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to grab my cutting plates. And I have my base plate, my number 1, the number 2, and then I have my number 3 cutting plate. And I'm going to grab that stylish shaped circle die, and I'm going to slide those little leaves over the top of the circle. All right, I'm going to slide that circle right in underneath. I'm going to try to kind of get it all the way up, but I kind of knew when I drew that circle, I probably wouldn't get it quite that far up, but that's okay. It's going to cut off all of those pencil marks so we don't see them, and it's going to leave the edges of those leaves. So I'm going to put my other number 3 plate on top and push this to the outside a little bit more. I always push my dies to the outside. It helps keep your cutting plates from getting too warped. And I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. And then we will bring this back out, take off my top plate. And now we're going to pick this up. Look at this. I'm going to slide this back out. And now we have this beautifully cut circle. And because those stylish shapes have the stitching, let's see if it'll focus. There we go. I love the way the stitching comes right up next to the leaves too. Very, very cool. I love that technique. Sometimes I don't think about doing it, but it's such a fun one. It makes such a cool look. Yes, I could have stamped the leaves. I could have cut them out, and I could have just glued them, but I don't know. It's kind of fun just to do it that way. So I'm going to grab my Pretty Peacock ink again, and I am going to stamp a sentiment on here. I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says, Autumn teaches us that change can be beautiful. Isn't that pretty? I'm glad you guys like this technique too. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to stamp this in my circle towards the top, just like that. And that's why I waited until I had cut the circle first, because I wanted to get it to fit in the circle with the leaves. And I was afraid if I stamped both, they wouldn't be quite the right places or sizes. So this is going to go on the front here. I'm going to grab some of this natural ribbon and go ahead and cut it. So I'm going to cut the bottom first at an angle. And then I'm going to cut it we're going to put this on here so it kind of hangs down. So I'm going to just cut a little bit down here like that. And then I'm going to pull out some silver threaded twine. You guys know this is my favorite ribbon. And I'm going to take out one strand of it, which is also my favorite way to use it. And I'm going to tie this on the bottom. we'll glue it after we tie it. I'm going to tie this down here. I want to kind of I'm going to tighten it, but I don't want to get it too tight, just because I found when I was doing it, and if it was like really, really tight, it got all wonky. So you can see I got it there, but I'm not pulling it too much. It's still a little bit loose. It's just going to help the ribbon sit better. And hopefully this ties right the first time. When I was doing it earlier, I did have to do it like a zillion times because I just couldn't get the ribbon to look the way I wanted it to. I'm a little bit picky. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to things. All right, I think that's pretty good. So this is going to go on here. We're going to put this on here, and then this circle is going to come down over top. So this is going to work out really well. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. I'm going to grab some Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm going to put some Stampin' Seal Plus on here. Oops, it went off the edges. That's okay. It went off the edges a little bit, so I'm just going to come in here and kind of fold it, hopefully, so it's coming off the ribbon. Just kind of try to fold that over. There we go. And then this, we're going to put it where I want it on the front. Lay it on there. And then just bring it up and over the back. And that's just going to hold it on there for us. So much fun. I love this ribbon. It's just a really, really pretty ribbon. It's very useful. Very useful. So this is going to come on here eventually. I might play with this ribbon a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and kind of start gluing some pieces together though. So I have some Very Vanilla. I'm going to layer Very Vanilla. We don't always think about layering Very Vanilla, do we? We think, I don't know. I don't think about using white or Very Vanilla as a layer all the time. But for this card, it really seemed to work. So I'm going to grab some Very Vanilla. Now, our crumb cake was 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So the Very Vanilla is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Just 1/8 inch bigger on both sides. And then this is going to go on a piece of Pretty Peacock. The Pretty Peacock is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I scored it at 4 1/4. We'll just go ahead and fold it right on the score line. This makes our card base. And of course, it has a standard card front of 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So that is going to be even. We'll just go ahead and glue that right on there. Now I have more samples to show you. Didn't just make one card. I have more samples. So I'm going to slide this on here. Get that centered. And now I think I'm going to mess with this bow just a little bit. Bring it in just a little bit. Maybe. I want to kind of go sideways. So I'm kind of playing with it. This is going to come on here. And I want this loopy to come down here, but you can kind of see it's all going to layer. I'm going to put some dimensionals on here on my sentiment here. I want to stay away from this spot right here. We're going to stay away from that spot where the ribbon is. Bonnie, you like what I did with that ribbon? Isn't that cool? But I am going to go ahead and put a dimensional down on the end of that leaf. It looks really pretty when you do this with the copper as well, but this card just, I don't know, the copper was a little bit too flashy. So I grabbed my silver threaded twine instead. All right. I think those are going to be in good spots. We'll go ahead and take the backs off. And then we'll trim up my ends. We'll look at some more cards. There we go. And come in here, trim up these ends a little bit. And there is our beautiful fall card. So isn't that cool? Oh, I hope you guys like it because I really like it. I really liked those stamped images, which is, I was trying to combine stamped images and die cut images on the same card. And I think eventually I just decided they needed to be on separate cards. So that's my first card. Let me show you my other sample cards that I have though. Now, many of you know I was out of town this weekend in Las Vegas with a bunch of other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. And so we did a card swap. So this is a card that somebody else made. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put the gems on. Let's come back to my card. Now we'll look at the swap card. I forgot to put on the little dots. What was I thinking? It's got to have some dots. All right. I'm going to pull out these little adhesive back dots. They kind of have like a, I don't know, I think they're supposed to have a sparkle in them. But I'm going to use the Moody Mauve ones. Pop those on here. There we go. That was the little something it needed. So there it is with those little gems on there. All right, now I'll show you the swap card. Here's our swap card. Somebody else made this. Isn't that pretty? And this is this was made by Michelle Schmidt in Waterloo, Iowa. So very cool. I looked through my swaps. I didn't make a ton of swaps. And this was the only one using this set, which I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping, you know, I could get out of doing work. All right. And then I have this thankful card, which on this one, I used the embossing folder that is in this suite. I used the embossing folder and then I die cut the leaves and added a die cut shape. I also used that die. Remember how I said there was some dies with little just dots, little holes, and I used one of those on there. So it's really hard to see, but there you go. But it just adds a little bit of something, kind of adds an extra underline to that copper ribbon there. So really pretty. Now, don't forget this stamp set, this bundle, actually, we're going to be using as part of the Stamping Cross Country online retreat on September 30th. There is still time to register. Registration ends, I think, Tuesday? No. I can't remember if it was the 3rd or the 5th. If you haven't registered yet, make sure you jump and get registered because it's going to be fun. We're going to be using this bundle as well as the Marion Bright bundle, I think is what it's called. And then here's my last card. This is with more of this gorgeous paper. And I just I put a bunch of different paper together and I tried, look at this. I used some Moody Mauve. Even used a little Moody Mauve cardstock on this one. So, and for this one, let me hold this up, see if you can see it. But I actually embossed this pretty peacock leaf with that distressed tile embossing folder before I cut it out. So it has some texture on it. So this card has tons of texture and not dimension, but texture to it, visual texture to it. So what is the layer of gold paper? The layer of gold paper is just more of that distress, that oxide, the copper oxide paper. This stuff, I just cut it bigger. And you know, let me let you in on a tip. I cut the size that I wanted, and then I cut these little leaves out of the center of it so I could layer it. So yeah, so this is just more of that oxide, that copper oxide paper. So cool. So those are my cards for tonight. If you want more ideas with this set, definitely join the Stampin' Cross Country virtual retreat, online retreat. I don't know what we're calling it these days. And don't forget, if you want to come, we had an awesome card class on Tuesday. If you want to come to the September online card class, registration for that is open right now too. We are going to be using the Pick of the Patch bundle, the stamp set, and punch. Registration closes on Tuesday. Like I had to open it and close it really fast so I can get stuff ordered and get it here. So if you want to do that class, make sure you jump over to my website and get registered. Yeah, so lots of stuff happening. It's the last weekend to get registered for that, last weekend for the retreat, last weekend for a paper share. Whew, so much happening. And you can find out all about it all on my website, or just, you know, send me an email if you need the link to something. Have a fabulous evening. Thank you all again for joining me tonight. And I will see you next week, Tuesday. I think we're going to be doing a fun fold card next week. So watch for the cutting dimensions on Monday in the Facebook group and on the description to the YouTube video. And I will see y'all on Tuesday for another fun fold card. Have a great holiday weekend.